Hello, friends, and welcome to the new episode of r/Tales from Retail. And today we've got another set of stories for you about Karen. Karen strikes again. So if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. And let's get started. No, you can't have his change. I worked as a grocery store cashier in the early 90s. Most of my difficult customers were simply confused senior citizens, Florida. But one heck of a Karen sticks out in memory. Also one roid rager, but another day for him. We were down the street from a sports center where a number of pros trained. They shopped with no issue until one got himself into big tabloid trouble. He was always great, but the paparazzi were not. While he was shopping, my coworker came back from her smoke break to report the paparazzi outside. Paparazzi got frisky and came in, which was strictly against company policy, but paparazzi was a jerk about it. He wound up screaming assault when our manager wouldn't let him further into the store. I headed back to give Athlete a heads up, offered to let him leave out the back. He handed over two 20s and said to keep the change. I went shopping for duplicates of his stuff so I could ring it up and not mess up inventory. Also, I had no idea how else to handle getting the money into the store coffers without my register coming up way over. Bad metrics. When I finished ringing it up, a Karen appeared out of thin air. She wanted to know what I was doing. I explained. She saw me put the money in the register and make change. I was legit not sure what to do with it. I couldn't take tips, only baggers. My manager was still arguing with the paparazzi and waiting for the cops. I set it to the side and turned to Karen to figure out what she wanted as her stuff wasn't on the belt. Karen wanted to know what I was going to do with that money and why it wasn't secured in the register. Was I stealing it? I explained. She demands, give it to me. I was a no on that. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it, but I wasn't going to give it to Karen. She started having a screaming fit that I was stealing from the store and tried to grab the cash. I snatched it up first and stuffed it in the charity bin, figuring that would be the end of it. Nope, she kept screeching and tried to open the charity bin for her money. Two cops arrived about then and split up between the incidents. Karen's story changed as soon as she saw the cops. Also her demeanor. Suddenly she was super sweet. That was her stuff I just rang up. Now I wouldn't give it or the change to her. I'd stuffed the change in that bin and she was just trying to get it back. I needed to be fired and arrested. Meanwhile, Karen still had a full cart right behind her. I suggested pulling the security tapes, and the cops liked that idea. Karen kept smiling sweetly and telling me how I was about to learn what it's like to get fired. I should have given her the money. It would have been no skin off my nose, but now she's going to destroy my life. I have to listen to this crap for a while because the paparazzi is screaming First Amendment, and it takes time for the security tapes to be pulled and reviewed. Sure enough, I can be seen arriving with a basket/money well before Karen shows. She sputtered and insisted both were hers. She was shopping for a friend, and I'd been helping her. They pulled more tapes. I was never anywhere near Karen while she was shopping. The cops looked to my manager. Does he want her arrested or escorted out? Our national never liked to approve bans from the store without arrest, so arrest. Karen flipped out, screeching that she'd never touched the money or the stuff. She'll sue. Karen and the paparazzi left in cuffs. They got to share the back of a police car. I think they deserved each other. I don't know what charges, if any, stuck for either of them. Security footage and statements were taken. At least it completely ruined both their days. And we had their cars towed. And our next story. Customer won't let me remove stock from shop floor. Here's a bit of backstory. I work in a chain shoe store. I'm a secondary supervisor, and I'm only in charge when my manager and supervisor are both off. Now, on a Thursday, every store gets a list from our head office of stock they want us to send back to the warehouse for a variety of reasons. We call this recall. The recall can only be put through as a transfer the day before the scheduled delivery for that week. Our delivery just so happens to be a Thursday, so we usually have plenty of time to sort it out. And anything that needs doing is usually done by the Tuesday, ready for it to be boxed with a transfer note on the Wednesday. Now to the story. This happened on a week my supervisor was off due to the school holidays. I was off the Monday and Tuesday as I'd worked the Sunday, which wasn't my normal shift, Anyway, I got a message from my manager Tuesday evening explaining that she'd been unable to sort any of it out as the shop had been extremely busy. I said that was okay, I'd manage somehow. I absolutely hate recall when I'm in charge. It's extremely stressful to do when it's busy. I went in the next morning and went through my usual routine of getting the store ready to open. I finished this at about 8:50. So I had about 10 minutes before I had to open. Karen was already waiting outside, but I refused to open the doors before 8:58 as I don't get paid for those extra 10 minutes. I go about my jobs, keeping a close eye on the time. Eventually, I open the doors and finish opening the shop. Karen storms in, obviously annoyed that I didn't open the shop sooner. Customers are usually grumpy at this time of the morning, and 9 times out of 10, they buy something that makes me think, why would you need that first thing in the morning? This Karen was no different as she was looking at sandals. I start sorting out the recall. Most of it was sandals as the company was starting to make way for winter stock. There was a lot of it, and I mean a lot, like 50 pairs of shoes that had to be bagged, labeled, and boxed up. More than half of it sandals. Yep, you guessed it, right where Karen was looking. I decided to sort out the rest of recall, hoping that by the time I'd finished, she would have gone or bought something. Sorting the rest of recall took me about an hour, as I had to be on the till, help customers, and keep the shop tidy all on my own. Now at 10 a.m., Karen still hadn't bought anything, and was in the middle of trying some sandals on. I checked the shopping center, and it was getting pretty busy. There was no way I could wait to do the recall. This is where the mess started. I started to remove some of the sandals. Karen came up to me and said, "Excuse me, I was looking at those." "Oh, I'm sorry, I need to send these back to the warehouse." "Yes, but I was looking at them. Can't you do it later?" "I'm quite happy to leave the ones you want to try, but I do have to take the rest." "No, you'll get in my way." "I'm sorry, I need to get it done as soon as possible, otherwise it'll get too busy." "If it gets busy, it can just be done tomorrow." No, it can't. If you need me, I'll be at the till." I walk away from her, not giving her a chance to respond. I keep going back and removing more sandals until I have all of them on the list. This, however, does leave quite a few gaps, and Karen, being a typical Karen, complains. "How am I supposed to shop for sandals when you've removed them all?" I'm sorry you can't find what you're looking for. But we do have limited stock here. I can have a look on the till for you and show you pictures of stock I can order in for you. "What about those?" Pointing to the ones in the box. "Sorry, those aren't a part of our stock anymore." I didn't say if you wanted to try them on, I would leave the size with you. But you didn't ask. "I'm asking you now. They are your stock. They're right there." I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I did tell you what I was doing when you spoke to me. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I can have a look if any of the nearby stores have what you want. "I want those." I'm sorry, they're not for sale. I waited for as long as possible. "I want to speak to your manager." I'm in charge today. I can give you the customer service number if you wish to talk to someone else. "That's a lie." She takes the number anyway and storms back out of the shop, knocking my colleague's little girl over on the way out. I get a phone call from customer service about 30 minutes later asking my side of the story, but nothing ever came of it. I hope you enjoyed it. And our last story. Service dog triggers lady at grocery store. There was a guy that requested the grocery store I worked at. About once a week, he would come to pick up the essentials. Only a basket's worth. He did this regularly, so I got to know him and his service dog pretty well. He was a super cool guy, and his dog was amazing, always standing by his side as he walked through the store and standing right at his side as he would check out. I can't say for sure why he had a service dog, because I was polite and never asked why he had a dog. The only question I ever asked was, what was the dog's name and how old was he? His name was Boomer, and he was 8. So that brings us to this tale. As always, the guy with the service dog came through my line, and I greeted him. Having casual conversation, as all cashiers do with their regulars, I thanked him and told him to have a good day. 10 minutes later, a woman came through my line who was a typical Karen/Sharon type. Here's how the conversation went. Lady: about 10 minutes ago, I saw a man in here with a service dog. Me: yes, he's a regular. He's in here a lot. Well, he wasn't holding the leash when I saw him. Me: oh well. He's had the dog for a while, and he's very well behaved, so the dog stays by his side very closely. That is so dangerous, he could have hurt someone. I doubt that. The dog's there to protect him. He'd more than likely only attack if his owner was threatened. Well, it's still a dog and could attack anyone at any opportunity. I literally just stared at her. I wasn't sure what she wanted me to say at this point. I also thought she was being ridiculous, so I ignored her and continued scanning her items. Lady, oh, so you aren't going to do anything? You're just going to stand there shrugging your little shoulders? I doubt that dog was even a real service dog. When she made that comment about me not doing anything, I was so annoyed. She didn't know this guy or what he'd been through. The dog had a registered service dog vest on, which, yes, I'm aware anyone can put those on their dog, but you can just tell the real ones. She was angry about a dog she had seen loyally doing its job 10 minutes ago. I don't know what she wanted me to do. I was just a cashier. I have no power over what anyone does in the store, especially one that's already left. After continuing to ignore her rude comments and accusations, she said, I want to speak to your manager. No problem, ma'am. Let me call him up. So I paged the manager over the PA system, and after our transaction, I told her to go stand to the side and he'd be right up. 5 minutes later, the main manager at the time came up to me and asked what I needed. I pointed to the woman and said, that lady would like to speak to you about something. Since they were out of earshot, I couldn't hear the conversation, but whenever I'd look over, I saw her point over at me a couple of times, which I could only assume she was blaming me for the whole situation. My manager finished the conversation with her, and she walked out of the store. I expected him to come up to me and give me the talk. We all know the one after a customer complains. All he did was look at me, shrug his shoulders, smile at me, and walk back to his office. Damn, I miss that job sometimes. Thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.